like a it's like a library for Bitcoin primitives, and I use that in the background. So, but like it's exactly like the same way of abstraction that the original JavaScript version uses. So it's pretty much the same, but in Python. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I saw you made like also the Bitcoin library for Java, right?
Yes, yes. So I implemented a essentially the equivalent of what the JavaScript BSV library is. So the equivalent for that in Java. So there is also a script interpreter in there, and the most recent version I've when I actually tried to build some of the more interesting sCrypt examples, my library fell over completely. It just wouldn't parse the sCrypt. It turns out that my script interpreter didn't have full compatibility with the 1.08 with the Genesis upgrade. Yeah. So I ended up having to go dig into the C++ sources to make sure that my script interpreter is basically, I'm going to say bug for bug compatible.
Yeah, you essentially have to write like two versions, because if you want to use it on like legacy transactions, you have to, it has to be like backwards compatible. Yeah, it's a mess, I know. Yeah.
I think all the different bindings. I think the BSV library, even when I was using the money button one, they also have a huge upgrade after Genesis. But so far I haven't. Oh, we do find one bug, but we submit a PR, and I think it's being fixed. But so for the Java version, where does it originally come from? Is it like a fork of something like a BTC or PCH library or something?
Yeah, so I started by forking the BTC Bitcoin J library.
Started by Mike Hearn.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So that project is still go. Yeah, the project is still going strong. I see a lot of development still going on with it. What I did though was I ended up stripping out all of the stuff like SegWit. I stripped out. Yeah, it also has a full node implementation inside it, right? So it's got the peer-to-peer networking stuff in it. So I stripped all of that stuff out. So I basically pared it down. The first thing that I did was just sort of pare it down to just more or less a purer version of the library that doesn't have all the node bits in it, and that is rolled back to before the SegWit upgrade. And then I went back and I grabbed an old copy of what is the guy from nChain who basically maintained the Bitcoin J cache implementation?
Cache.
Oh man,
I don't know. I think the Steve Shadders, he has been in Bitcoin J for quite some time, but it's not him.
Yeah, but it's not Shadders. It's not Shadders. It's, oh no, I've completely forgotten his name now. I'm going to kick myself. I'll try to remember his name. Anyway, so one guy who's working at nChain now, basically was for the longest time the maintainer for the Bitcoin J cache implementation, or one of the contributors. But that project is dead now as well. But there was some interesting things in that. So I went and I looked at Bitcoin J cache, what they have basically done that is different. So the first version of my library that actually just compiled was sort of an amalgam of bits that I had scraped together. Hello, everybody.
Welcome to
the
town.
Yeah, sorry, I was having trouble finding internet. I'm in like this campground thing, but I finally found it. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. We're just talking about some Bitcoin J stuff. Okay.
Great.
Yeah. So
where are you?
So the first.
You're in New York.
Yeah, I'm in New York right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sitting on on like a pathway where I have internet.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. All right, go ahead, guys. Sorry to interrupt. I'll mute myself if it's too loud because there's a lot of people around me.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
No, as I was saying, so the first version that actually compiled was more or less a mashup of Bitcoin J Cache and a stripped down version of the Bitcoin J library. But then I had to do the really, really hard graft of starting with the test vectors from Bitcoin, from the Bitcoin test vectors. So the first test vectors that I actually worked with were the ones from my Dart library. So I ported the test vectors from my Dart library, and sChash is always I almost said a swear word. Just insert your favorite swear word here. So once I got sChash passing, things started getting a little bit easier. So once I managed to get all the sChash algorithms and signing of the transactions going, that was fine. And then some of the things that I then moved forward was things which I wanted to have, but which weren't available in the original implementation of Bitcoin J. For example, things like a script builder, so a builder interface to make it easy for you to assemble scripts, but also a builder interface to make it, sorry, the script builder existed. The thing that doesn't exist is the transaction builder interface, which has which follows the builder pattern, which is more or less a DSL that allows you to quickly assemble new transactions. And as part of that, one of the things that I did for my Dart library implementation a while back was that I completely abstracted away the notion of a locking and unlocking script, because I wanted I basically have now this thing that I call a default locking and a default unlocking script builder, which will just basically use what you pass it as the unlocking. And then I used that as sort of a base implementation, which derives from a simple interface. So I basically built a class hierarchy, and then now it is easy to build custom implementations for builders around locking and unlocking, because it's now pretty much any locking and unlocking combos will work. But yeah, that's enough from me. I feel like I'm rambling on now.
So you also wrote for Dart, if I heard correctly.
Yes. So I've got the two libraries, the one in Java and then the one in Dart.
What's Dart? It's like a JavaScript thing, or is it like a completely separate language?
It's latest one of the newest sexy language out there.
Really? Yeah, I've heard of it, but
how sexy it is.
It's Flutter, right?
Yeah. So actually,
Flutter.
Yeah, it's not actually that new. I first got interested in Dart around maybe early in the 2012, 2013, around that time, and Google was pushing it as part of their they were doing this thing called Polymer, which was web components. So if you've built anything with a new version of Angular or an AngularJS or a new version of React or even Vue.js, right? So that component style of working where you have a clean separation between your code and the templating in your front end. Google did something much earlier called Polymer, which was essentially that. And the language they used for that was Dart. And the idea was that they were eventually because Dart is a strongly typed language, the idea was that Dart was going to basically be their replacement for JavaScript. So their intention was the JavaScript sucks. That was basically the thesis. JavaScript sucks as a language for the web. We need a strongly typed language for the web. So we're going to invent a language called Dart. And we're going to have a virtual machine, which they called, I think it was Dartium, which they were going to ship inside Chromium. So if you remember, there was an old development build of Chrome called Chromium. It might still be knocking around. That might still be their dev branch. But the idea was that they were going to just start shipping a Dart virtual machine in every Chrome browser to make it easy to deploy web components. Well, you know the way that Google goes, right? They killed web components, they killed Dart. And so we were all left in the lurch. But years later, the Dart language resurfaced as Google's language of choice for what they now call their ubiquitous computing initiative, where they're trying to do native builds using Dart for all platforms. That is for televisions, for mobile operating systems, both iOS and Android, for the web, for desktop Linux, Mac, and Windows. So this new cross-platform Flutter framework of theirs targets all devices with native compilation, basically. And the language they use is Dart. And that's basically why I built the Dart language, was because I
didn't know the history. I thought it was a recent thing. It was just popular. So you went dark for a while and then kind of like a resuscitated. Oh, cool.
It was brought back to life, yes. And so the thing that excites me about Dart is the ubiquitous computing initiative, and it is the potential promise of us being able to build using one language, cross-platform native applications for on our devices, right? And I would like to see more Bitcoin applications built with native targets in mind, right? Right now, everybody's building for the web, but I don't think that the Bitcoin application space has moved onto native apps yet. I'm hoping to see more of that.
Okay, is that in this sense like a competitor to let's say WebAssembly? Is that kind of?
I wouldn't necessarily say so. Okay, maybe I should qualify that I don't know that much about WebAssembly. But my understanding of WebAssembly is that it is meant to target the browser, meaning that it's just assembly in the browser
for web. It's like a script. It's like for web, but for web.
So this is native compilation. You basically end up with native native platform code from Dart, essentially.
Yeah, I think
so there's no runtime.
Okay, many good words about it. I think it's specifically. I think it's a Handcache. It's built on Flutter framework, if I remember correctly.
They switched to Flutter quite early in their project. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So mostly for like cross-platform. So it's iOS, Android, web, pretty much everything. It's just that's what I heard. I haven't tried it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's cool if they would actually like manage to easily like bridge mobile and desktop. I think it's about damn time, because like we have so powerful smartphones. Like it's a shame that they're not like essentially the same.
I agree.
I mean, I would love to see a future where you could just like pop in your phone into like stand, and you would have your desktop. That's it. And you would have like.
So hang on, where is my? So these phones, right? This is like a 3-year-old Samsung Galaxy Note, right? So these Galaxy Note phones already has this capability.
Yeah,
right?
but it's still like it's this Android, like it's okay for like I guess web browsing, but for like any
wonky.
serious work, it's like garbage.
yeah.
Yeah, and I heard you said like for like that the most work you did was for sChash, right? And
yes.
And I'll tell you that when you will do the thing for sCrypt, it will also be like the most work that you will do will be with like the pre-image stuff, like pushing pre-images and calculating like the signatures. Like most work will be there, so keep that in mind.
In the script lib.
yeah.
Right.
It's like the hardest to debug, you know.
Oh, I actually went through that. Which is why I think that it's great to have the script lib. When I went through that was so over the last, in order for me to validate that my library actually works, I thought, hang on, what is the most important and probably the hardest part of getting your mind around sCrypt now? So I thought, obviously up push TX, right? Stitching together not just the two ends of the transaction, but doing end-to-end validation in code where you have where you can have unit test that stitches together the end-to-end validation of a push TX, where you have to calculate the SIG hash pre-image. I ended up rebuilding a part of my library because my library didn't give me my Java library the SIG hash class didn't have a separate public function that generated just the pre-image on the transaction, because you have to do it kind of the wrong way around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is
yeah, same. I think this almost same for all the language bindings. So when I first I cannot use a BSV JavaScript directly because there's no such interface. I have to fork my own, and then I think on the latest version now they have this public function called get per image. But before that, nobody needs this thing, right? It's just a part of the check SIG. So I think we,
yes.
Fortunately for all languages, they went through this. So
it's funny how we rediscover like things that like were supposed to be used like in 2011, but that were totally like forgotten. Like
yeah, that's another way of putting it. When I fork the language, I think the most satisfying thing for me is to get rid of all this like so-called rubbish. Forgive my French, but just rubbish. SegWit and page to script hash. It's just so clean. The code after you remove it, I just feel relieved. Just my opinion. I don't know for Java. When you get rid of the SegWit, do you feel like you just feel you got rid of something?
Yeah.
It's like
I felt like
trash can, trash everywhere.
Yeah,
I felt like I exercised my code. I felt like there was like my code was possessed by a demon, and I just exercised the code.
Yeah,
so,
as a cancer.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really satisfying. Like once you set everything up, and then you can finally like throw out a whole block of like garbage. That's really nice. It's like in Tetris when you put together like a block and then you put in the finish like the straight piece, and then it all pops out. That's what it feels like.
Okay.
Very satisfying.
Yes, just I think I'm curious. Basically, when I first implement the all push transaction, I kind of feel like I need also like at that time, because I'm implementing it, so I also have to wrap my head around it. But after I died, because it's like you hear about it, you see it, and then you do it, right? When you do it, you understand every detail, because otherwise it wouldn't work, right? So but the people, this is like a constant feedback I got. It's like people saying, "Oh, how does this push TX work?" I think Stefan, you did a wonderful job. You like have this video, and I don't know how do you set up all the device? You can have screens and you can draw on, and which is very powerful. So because I did it, so that's to me I have a blind spot. Oh, okay, cool. I have a blind spot. So what do you think when you guys first heard about this technique? What are some of the blockers that stop you or maybe hinder your understanding this, to wrap around your head around it? What is it? What do you think of the challenging part?
Probably that you need like to know all the prerequisites, like pre-image and how transactions are getting hashed and signatures made. That's probably like once you understand that, and then you understand like, okay, instead of like using like the opcode to calculate hash, I can push like the whole pre-image onto the stack and then calculate this signature with scripts. And then that's, it's like a whole process that you have to go through. But once you get it, it's like, yeah, okay, I can control output scripts with that. Yeah, it becomes obvious, but it's like a hard way to. It's like learning math. Like you go through all this process, like, oh, I don't get this, but then one time you sleep over it, and then you wake up. Oh yeah, I know. It suddenly makes sense,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The funny thing is, when I first published it last year, and there's some guy I don't name it, but he was like, "Oh, okay. How does this work? This like doesn't feel. I don't understand. I don't think it works as it is supposed to work." And then I was trying to talk back and forth. He just didn't get it for whatever reason. And then it's like a few months earlier this year, I think it's like almost 1 year apart or more than that. He was, oh, I just got it. I said, how it happened? It's just, did I do something? I don't remember doing anything. He just, yeah, he said, oh, I finally got it. He just sent me a message. He said, I got it. Yeah, I think it's just, yeah, for some, yeah, that's why I want to make sure it's like almost like explain it like 5 years ago, right? I want to make it as easy as possible. So you mentioned about some prerequisite. I probably should list more there, like a pre-image, and also how the digital signature works, right? ECDSA. Okay, yeah, okay. How about you? Like, you guys?
Yeah, for me, one of the more important things to figure out there was the role of object-sig, and how object-sig is kind of used as the linchpin in the whole scheme. Once I understood how object-sig gets leveraged by the locking script, right? That for me was sort of the thing that made the light bulb go off, because
checksig, okay.
Yeah, because I kind of had to understand how checksig is essentially used as a hack to validate the outputs of the pre-image, right? So
yeah, very good hack. Yeah, that's that's a smart hack. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand outpush transaction is just like a way of putting conditions on the next transaction.
That's
you know what I mean?
just one application of it, because now you have pre-image, right? Pre-image, the output kind of, right? The hash of the output, which is equivalent to the output, is also part of the pre-image. Now, because you can access the pre-image, you can also have access to the new output, right? And then once you know that new output, you can place, it's like any other constraint you can put, right? So you can say, oh, it has to go to Kevin's public key address or whatever. You can also say, oh, you can only spend this, let's say 2 months from now, right? So it's because before this, it's generally regarded as impossible, because to constrain further spending condition. For example, right, when you used to send Bitcoin, right? If I send it to you, whatever locking conditions I have, once you got it, there's no constraint to further how you spend the money, right? So that's right. That's a part that people, I think that it's just almost like I think it's impossible before push DX, and then this is also the way that you can save state. Yes, it brings a lot of new innovations, right? So that's just two examples you just mentioned that you can have tons. It's like kind of like in some languages you have this. I think in Go or JavaScript or a lot of languages. I don't know about that. They have the so-called introspection, or some of them even called a reflection in runtime, right? You can know what class you are in, what the object you are, and what are the properties and method you can access. So it's kind of like that. I think about it in that way, because if you talk, let's say transaction 0 and transaction 1 is spending 0, and then somehow in the login script is in transaction 0, right? Somehow you can access the transaction that's spending you. It's almost like you know your context. I think about that way. Yeah.
Yeah, think about like the locking. You know, if I'm the locking script, right? But I can say like, if I'm the locking script, I can say who will unlock me, right? But I can also say like that, make sure that you include the pre-image of the your next transaction, your transaction, and make sure it produces the same signature as the actual transaction, right? And I can say that. But if I can control that, that means if I can control like that, you will have like a pre-image on the stack. That means that I can also, because the pre-image contains the hash of the outputs, that means that I can also say what will be in the next output, right? I can have like this whole chain, like I will control your next output because I can say that you will have a pre-image in your input script, right?
Great. Yeah, I've heard Chao Wei talk about it in some of his online kind of webinars, and I'm in a Zoom meeting now. And so I need to sit down. So Stefan's video is the best one so far. I've seen a few of Stefan's intro videos, but I haven't had the time to actually watch them. So I'm going to watch a lot of them. So.
Yeah, it's been almost a month now since I put out video. I need to get back into it. I've been sort of squirreling away in the dark.
Yeah, no, sometimes you can let it breathe a little bit because it takes a long time for people to watch them all. So you don't have to just.
You know when Kevin put his last video?
It was 3 months ago.
3 months.
You know when? Yeah, Kevin put his last video, right? When did that happen?
I think it was about 3 months ago.
Yeah, Craig, right? Then it blew
up.
You crashed the whole internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what would happen. I was so nervous when I posted that video because because most of my followers were from Ethereum and I thought they were all going to attack me. And the first comments that came in were attacking me, but then after an hour it flipped around. But yeah, I like to go through personally. I like to go through and like answer all the comments, or at least the objection comments. And so I always give it a lot of time. What I need to do is just have a better platform, because if videos get really popular, there's no way for me to answer all the questions. So if there's a better platform where it kind of like screens people who ask questions, you know, it would be a lot easier. And also if it paid you. So that's why I want Streamanity. I guess I could do a Udemy course or something, but the reality is that I really need to understand whatever it is that I'm going to teach. And I understand sCrypt from a very high level, but I don't understand it with enough experience to feel like I'd be comfortable posting videos. Because then people are going to ask me a bunch of questions and I need to know the answers, just like by heart. You know what I mean? So
especially like sorry to interrupt you, especially like in programming, they ask you like very specific things, you know, like even like, for example, if I made a library, people ask you like things that don't even you as the creator like know by hand, you know, by hand.
Exactly. Exactly. So I've script, or I don't script my videos, but I like write outlines and then I do like a trial run and I see if it makes sense. And so I have a outline of what I'm going to talk about next, and it's going to kind of give like an introduction to Bitcoin and UTXO model, and then I'll do like a simple contract on sCrypt. But I was watching some of the videos that you posted this week, Chao Wei, about getting set up, and it's great.
Yes.
So I've gotten through the first 4, and so that's what people need. And so yeah,
good.
I'll direct them to that.
Okay, nice. So I also share the link just in that group chat. I think you can. I think I post this if you haven't noticed. So basically, I made like a very simple, like collection of all the awesome sCrypt, you know, whatever background or materials links I can find. Just I think it's kind of like scattered around, so I just put everything there. And I think based on the survey I did, but I think quite a few of you have offered the good sound advice, saying it's kind of like I mean, it's better than sCrypt, but it's still not very easy to get a head around it. So that's why our recent effort has been like further lower the learning curve. So basically, we've been posting one effort is we're posting this learning sCrypt tutorials, so which I think I'm producing daily because I want to keep it short, like usually less than 10, and it's I don't waste time talking about big concept. I just show you how to click around. So I hope that's useful. So if you're not, please subscribe to that. And also I put Stefan's videos out there. It's one of the top, I think number 3 if you click on the videos. And there's another guy called Ty Everett. He also makes some tutorials, also video form. So yeah, if you want to resume and producing some more, like just share your experience, I find that's helpful, because for me, because as I said, right, I pretty much I built it, so A lot of time I have a mental like a blind spot. I don't, because to me, oh, it's easy, right? But that's not always sounds easy. It's like a crack. It's like when he talk about things, he assume everybody has the same background as him. But I don't know anybody else has such background. So that's why
I think that's
I'm
true.
learning.
I think that's true of anybody that builds something technical. Is we just assume people understand and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's something to be. We talked about that last time.
Yes.
That's one of the things which I think maybe on the video production side within around sCrypt and application, or not application building, but okay, let me say application building on Bitcoin SV is I would love to see some videos that actually move away from just what, for example, I'm doing right now, which is talking really just about how to work with the tech at a very deep technical level. Sort of. I'm not even talking about the user experience, right? How does this thing tie into the user experience, or how do you do a specific thing? I would love to start seeing end-to-end simple examples of how do I build this very specific thing. Okay, I'm gonna let's for example say a to-do application, right? There is this website called To Do MVC, which basically shows you how to do the simplest to-do task list in pretty much every JavaScript framework that's out there, right? So if you go to drewmvc.com, you can see how to do is implement all these JavaScript frameworks.
Can you say this website again? Maybe even share in the group chat. Is it a real website? Okay.
It's a real website. So let me just make sure that it is actually todomvc.com.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll share it in the chat.
Okay.
Close the chat now. So this website, right? I think that this is the great sort of example which shows you all of the different frameworks and how to do something specific or one specific task in them. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I intend to do this eventually as well. But I would love if everybody. It's always great to have other people's takes on it as well, right?
Yes.
To sort of see what other folks do and how they interpret this idea of building an application with either their library or with their specific framework. So for example, right, Michael might do a video, okay, here is how end-to-end this thing integrates in a, either with a simple Python HTTP server or with, hang on, why can't I remember the name of pretty much the most popular Python?
Flask?
Flask.
Well, Flask is a good one, but Django is the one that I was thinking of, right? Okay. So how do I do end-to-end simple Django website, right? With a backend integration. I intend to do stuff like that for the Java, maybe one or two Java specific frameworks, like a Bitcoin Spring framework integration with my library, right? Stuff like that, I think is going to be really useful to get very specific niche targets, niche audiences initially, right? But it does for general purposes, start giving people an idea of how to do something actually useful and how the technology integrates with an idea for an app that they might have.
Great.
And I guess I was really thinking about Kevin here because I think that Kevin's background is kind of like in building applications and showing people how to build apps, right?
Yeah, mostly user interface. Well, I built like 12. I taught myself how to code iOS apps, and then I built like a dozen apps, just like little games and stuff. If you go on one of the analytics sites, you can find it. But then every year, Apple updates their operating system, and I was so ignorant. I didn't have the idea like, oh, I have to like maintain this thing. And so then like I had to like maintain like 12 apps, and then eventually I'm just like, oh, and so I deleted most of them, but I had one that was pretty popular. But yeah, I would consider myself an app developer, but then just to make money on the side, I would also teach people how to code. And so yeah, I guess that's partly my background, but I do both,
Mm-hmm.
but it's mostly user interface stuff. That's what I've always been obsessed with. And so all the lower level parts of the, you know, the development, I'm not that familiar with, but I'm having a fun time learning. And so that's what I'm doing now.
Cool.
Yeah,
Somebody
I think
made
that,
it. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say that I think that libraries like scriptlib and the library that that you've done, Michael, are really, really good for abstracting the complexity of working with something like sCrypt or any Bitcoin integrations directly, abstracting that away enough to make it a little bit easier and more approachable. I think that there is still too much Bitcoin specific knowledge required from the libraries, for the libraries that I've built especially. You need some Bitcoin specific technical knowledge to be able to really make proper use of it. And I would love to see more libraries like sCryptlib and then the library from Michael now as well, that abstracts that away to a large extent.
Even like you could build like even like the Python version of sCryptlib, it's like you still have to know like the Bitcoin primitives. It's like pretty much impossible without knowing to write anything useful, right? Except if you just copy the code. But you could have like you know, like some people build like common patterns, libraries for common patterns. You could have like something like that on top, and you would have like these most like, I don't know, tokens, for example, and you would like reduce it to like 2 lines, you know, like that common pattern, and you could like people could use that and they wouldn't have to think anything about, you know, Bitcoin. It's like something, you know, something like run Bitcoin or whatever it is. It's like a nice abstraction. You don't have to like think about it, you know. But again, you have to, if it's hard to balance like actual, like, you know, you have to have the lower level, but at the same time you want to abstract things away. It's like hard to balance, you know, because you can't dump it too down, because you'll end up with like a whole other thing. But you can't have it like
Lots
too level.
Magic.
Yeah,
right.
But you can't have it like too low level because nobody will know how to use it, right? So it's like a balancing act, right? Yeah. But again, you can like you must keep it simple, but people will always be able to build above it. You just have to keep it stable, and you know, that people can rely on it as a dependency, like with a library, right?
Yeah, and so I understand, you know, from a basic level how all the transactions in the UTXO model work, and I understand what's happening again at a high level with all the opcodes and sCrypt, and so I'm just, you know, I'm just understanding this is one of my first kind of like base layer understanding stuff, and so. Yeah, I never even intended, honestly. People know me as the guy that did tutorial videos, but I just, it just kind of happened. I didn't plan it. So, so I'm going to do more, but you know, I always think, man, there's people that know a lot more than me, but for whatever reason, my video got popular. So I don't know, but you guys can help me, and I'll refer people to you.
You hit the nerve, it's like.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what happened. It was crazy. It was so overwhelming, and that's why I hesitate to post it until I really understand it, because especially with the Ethereum videos, like people just email me the most complicated questions, and I'm like, should I answer? For whatever reason, I felt obligated to answer them, and so there was like a month back in the day when I was just like manically like researching and trying to answer these. And so yeah, I'd like to understand things before I post it because of that.
Just
but you have like, I watched some of your other videos, you have like really, you know how to explain. Like, for example, if I would do something like that, I would just mumble garbage and nobody would ever get it, you know? But you have like this ability to communicate stuff.
Yeah, I think knowing something well and also teaching it, I think these two may not be always same skill set. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
maybe I think so. Yeah, I try and I literally I don't script my videos, but I'll outline them and then I'll try it and I'll watch it. And I'm like, oh, people are going to get confused about what I just said right there. And then I'll think about it for a couple of days and I'll find a new way of saying it. And then, so not all of my videos, some of them are literally just first takes and published, but some of the other ones I've done it over like, sometimes 10 times or more. So,
Okay.
or in the car, I'll get the voice memo app and I'll be driving around in the car and I'll just practice and then I'll listen back to it later and see, oh, that's going to be confusing for people. Then I'll find a new way of saying it.
So how are you going to know if it's by you, right? That's the part I think I'm still trying to learn. It's like somebody else. I always rely on somebody else. Oh, this part is not. It's a little bit confused. You can make it easier to understand. But how do you yourself?
Yeah,
detect
well, that's the thing.
That's
is
like
well, it just helps by watching or listening or watching yourself. And so, but yeah, I don't. And that's probably why it takes so long, because then I get all in a perfectionist thing. It would be nice just to have somebody else sitting there while you do it and seeing, because then you could see their face and you see, oh, that's where they get confused, instead of having this guesswork of, oh, they're probably going to get confused here, but I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. It's, I don't even consider myself an expert. It's just kind of what I do. So that's just what I do.
Okay.
Yeah. It would be nice to have somebody sitting there. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. So that's why
Like
when I post my video, I think at the beginning, I think for my first video, I think it took me a few days because I was just like, I rehearsed it and then I rehearsed it, but between rehearsals, it's like different. That's why and then later I learned this technique. I think I write some like you said, right? Sketch it down, like write something. So every time I repeat again, I don't go like completely different path. So I think recently I've been like accelerating. I think sometimes I post 2 videos a day, and sometimes I want to post more, and I just want to release as soon as possible. But then people just they have comment section, right? So people say, oh, okay, can you do this? Can you do that? Or maybe that's, I think that's my idea was to release as fast as possible into the production or web. And then people, whoever watch it, they have feedback. I can always, in the worst case, I can take it down and redo it and then repost it. So far, nobody has said, okay. So far it's been positive. So I'm not taking any down, I redo it. So.
I watch them all and then I download them because I don't have good Wi-Fi. Okay. So I downloaded them all.
Okay, cool.
So I watched the first 4 just this morning, and it's super helpful. So yeah, it's good.
Cool. Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and also
maybe someday I should. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's a balance between it being like, if it's totally scripted, then it just like, and I watch a video where it's totally scripted, I just totally zone out and get totally bored because there's no I don't know, it's just too scripted. But then if it's totally unscripted, then it's like just, it's just like total, what's the right word? It just doesn't make sense and it's not cohesive. And so it's like, I try and do the video somewhere in the middle where I have the outline. It's not totally scripted, but it's not totally just, wandering around aimlessly. So yeah, but no, I watched these and these are great. So
okay, cool. Yeah, probably I don't know, maybe the only one who downloads it. So okay.
Yeah, well, I have to because then I'm at this festival thing and I just don't have any internet, except I have I think it's like 2 megabyte internet. So it's really slow. But if I come to I was originally in the dining hall and I had a really fast one and I found it in this room. So we're good. But this is like the first time I've traveled in like 18 months. So I'm normally at home where I have my really fast internet, and I'll be back there in another week. So sorry to interrupt. I'll let you go.
Okay. Yeah, by the way, Kevin and me, we are going to the BSV Miami conference. That's a 1-day conference next week. So that's also, I haven't traveled like outside of my town in 18 months. So that's also good too for me too.
They only make you wear masks on the plane. So I have this whole.
That's the hardest time, man. I think I have my like not mask, it's almost like a just face coverings. I think that's a little bit tolerable. I don't know whether they will allow me on the plane. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah,
Because
I got a fresh mask.
Yeah.
Every hour I put on a new mask so that I don't have to be breathing my own bad breath. So
okay.
I hate the mask.
That's like still
not
6 months, 6 hours flight. So that's still man. I think
it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. I think you'll be okay. And if you ever need a break, just ask for water or walk back to the back where you need water, and you can take off your mask and drink water.
Magic.
But the lady and nobody on the airplane cared except for the lady right next to me, who was double masked with the face shield, and she was like, and she was watching me the whole time and like picking me apart. She even said, "You're making me uncomfortable by not." I'm like, "Oh my god,
you're breathing on me."
She was watching news.
You're killing me, man.
But nobody else, like half of the plane had it on their chin, and even the flight attendant did. So it wasn't a big deal except for my neighbor. So it is what it is. So.
I've got a potentially, I think it's something, how long is this flight? I don't even know. It's some 8 or 9 hours, maybe. Somewhere at the end of September, I'm going to go to Germany for a short holiday. Not because I have a particular affinity for Germany, but because Singapore has opened up a flight corridor with Germany, and it's only with Germany. So,
oh really?
For now, yeah. They've basically opened up a non-quarantine, so you don't quarantine on either side when you come back and forth. So
that's nice.
I might take a holiday, but that's going to be a long flight as well. And I'm just listening to your stories about wearing masks on a plane and just like,
just find some good neighbors.
Yeah, you need the good neighbors, but that's kind of hard to control.
Yeah.
I heard Singapore has this is this true? Is it fake news? They have this because there's quarantine for so long, people kind of get crazy. So and they want to travel, but there's nowhere to go. You have to quarantine. So they have this flight. Basically, you board it, you take off, you circle around, and then you fly back.
Yes, flight to nowhere. It's called flight to nowhere.
The real thing?
Yes, it's the real thing. It's real thing.
Oh,
I think they had it for a while. I don't know if they're still running it, but they had flights to nowhere, and there was a bit of patriotism attached to it as well, because you're supporting, you know, the stewards and stewardesses and the local airline industry. But the thing that is very popular right now that everybody is still doing are cruises to nowhere. So the cruise liners, obviously their business is dead as well. So you get from Singapore, you get on a cruise ship, and it basically just goes out for a few days, and then it comes back in again.
That's okay.
It's under, that I think is actually a little bit.
Cruise. I understand. Yeah, it's like you return to a home port, right? That's fine. But a flight, I've never taken a flight.
Flight to nowhere. That makes no sense to me. Same airport.
Okay, that's the real.
I should say
real
that Changi Airport, Singapore Changi Airport is probably the nicest airport that I've ever been
that's
through.
What I heard.
Yeah, but even so, it's an airport.
Okay.
You know. But yeah, I'm not that. I stay at home so much that I'm not used to wearing a mask. And I wear a mask only when I have to go into a shop, which is pretty much never, to go and buy stuff. So
you don't? You just shop online? Okay.
Somebody does my shopping for me, so I don't actually do my own grocery shopping. Anyway, the point I guess is that I'm not used to wearing a mask. Like mask wearing is very heavy in Singapore. Everybody wears a mask, and it's sort of generally policed as well that you have to wear masks. But I just don't go anywhere that I have to wear a mask, and which means that I'm not used to it. So I'm not looking forward to this flight that you guys talked about.
That was the same with me, but then I had to for this flight because it's some federal law. I think it expires in mid-September. Which is soon, right?
I heard they were going to extend it to at least next year. That's what I heard. Okay.
brutal. But it wasn't that bad, honestly, as long as you keep a fresh one. So I literally bought like a pack of 100 and I just rotate them out so I always have a fresh one, and
Okay.
it wasn't that bad. I just had to blow my nose because it literally makes my whole nose congested, and so then the next day I'm like blowing out my nose, and so it was fine. But yeah, I don't understand. The virus is so small that it just goes through people's skin. It goes through everything. So ears, eyes. It's like, so the mask thing is just kind of like, okay. But
I think
if it makes people comfortable.
I think, yeah, it's a lot of time is for theater. So, but you have to, it's like a public courtesy, right? You have to pretend you, it's productive. So it's like everybody doing it. So that's like a mass psychosis. So that's how okay. Maybe that's some benefit in some specific settings. If you like go to like, I don't know, ICU or something. Yeah, definitely I have to put one. I don't even have, nobody has to require me, but especially outdoors, I just find it always weird. Yeah, since the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll blow over soon. It was honestly, everything was pretty normal. So, you know, I think it'll blow over. Give it another year and we'll be back to normal. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully CoinGeek is going to be all good. I'm excited for that. Are any of you guys going or no?
I think I was, yeah. It's a little bit hard for me because it's New York City. You have to have papers. So you know that, right?
Hang on,
the vaccine papers?
Yes.
I literally just landed in New York City and I've been scoping it out, and it's only for select businesses. I don't know if it's going to be the conference or not, so we'll see.
It is. That's last time I checked. It is. Yeah, that's
bummer.
That's a bummer. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
well, they'll do it virtually. So they'll do it virtually, and I actually still haven't got my ticket. I bought twice early by accident. And so I got charged twice, and then I never got my ticket in the email. But so we'll see if I go. We'll see if I go. But yeah, that sucks. They should move it to Texas, make it closer to Elon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we are sucking up to him. So
yeah, that maybe it's too much.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So I'm excited.
I'll turn
about
up
that.
if they. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I put it on mute. So go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that I'll turn up depending on flight corridors between here and the US.
Yeah,
right
the
now
Singapore.
It does look like they.
Yeah, I heard it's. Do they still have direct flight? I think the one time it has direct flight, and then because it's I don't know, too long or something, and they just cancel it, and then I think later they resume it again. That's before COVID, so I haven't paid much attention. I think that's the longest flight, or if not one of it, it's like 18 hours from New York City to Singapore or something. It's a 17 hours, I forget.
Smokes. Yeah. A direct flight to New York.
That's like 18 hours.
It's almost as bad as the hopping you have to do. I can't imagine. I don't know which is worse, 18-hour direct or 18 hours of hopping, like 24 hours of hopping. I don't know.
Yeah, I would rather just stop somewhere, man. It's like 18 hours. It's like I've never taken like 18 hours. I think it like takes some time like 13 hours. That's the maximum line. I think after 13 hours, it's like okay, I better stop somewhere. 18 hours. Yeah. That's crazy. I think that's last. Yeah. Okay. And now you imagine you have to put a mask. So that's another.
Well, I've also never been to the US. So I've actually never been. Okay. Yeah. So I've never been to the US. So it'd be nice for me to actually finally make it out there. And I would love to attend one of these conferences at some point. And I probably would have made it to the last one, which was London, was it? Last one, was it London or Zurich?
Yeah, it was London.
Zurich.
Oh,
Zurich.
No, Zurich.
Yeah.
But that one was like closed basically to the public, except for a few people. You know what I mean? It was really small. But the last big one was London, like you said.
Yeah, because that is more, that is closer to sort of to where I am flight-wise, and it's closer to get to Europe from where I am. So either the ones in Europe or another one in Asia.
Yeah, they rotate between Asia, Europe, and North America. I think the next one after New York will be Dubai. So that's probably much closer to you. So
I love Dubai.
yeah.
I love Dubai. So I'm going to go to that for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be great.
Yes. Yes. If the government lets us go there, so we'll still see. So
well,
now
we'll see. I think they opened a long time ago. Dubai has been open for a while now.
Yeah,
so.
Dubai is open. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really look for it. I think even when it's open up, I think that's one of my future plans. If this sCrypt community grows more than 5 of us currently here, we hold a DevCon. So everybody go, we can choose the location, whatever is the most popular, the people's choice. So Dubai
Great.
or
no, I think
San Diego. Yeah, we go somewhere just for a week or something, just like doing some coding. That would be like it's like a paradise to me. That would be.
Yeah, we just need I think if we just have some more tutorial videos like you have, and then some use cases, some sample use cases. I just want to make sure that I explain it right instead of having it, because like, you know, Craig gets very upset if people are using stuff for inappropriate or illegal. Like he got so mad at those people. And so I just want to make it, I just want to present it in a way where it's going to attract the right type of people. And so maybe I've been overthinking it, but I don't think so. I've just been trying to present it in the right way. So it's taking a while, but yeah, I think it's inevitable that it'll be that big eventually.
That
so
would
yeah,
be funny, yeah. When that grows that big and people looking back and look at the earliest videos.
Yeah.
Because of one of the things I'm amazing is you guys heard about this Kotlin, the language Kotlin, basically by JetBrains. Now it's like a primary language when you do like Android. So they're also looking back because it was it's developed by JetBrains. So when they first start, they also have like meetings like this. So it's just a bunch of JetBrains employees. I think a couple of them. I think that's sometimes this is one other guy outside jumping, and then it was like now it was like I don't know 1 million people using it, something like that. So, but it was it will be interesting to like be part of a hopefully be part of a history. You say, oh, it's like oh, I bought some Bitcoin in 2010. No, that's nothing. I even have an NFT when I joined the second or the first sCrypt online meetings. I have an NFT for that, so you can sell it for probably like $1 million something.
Yeah, I still think that idea of having the NFT, because everybody always goes on YouTube videos and they say first, but there should be some sort of NFT that proves that you were one of the first, and then you could use it maybe for some sort of qualifications or I don't know if you resell it.
Rights.
That'd be kind of weird. Yeah, bragging rights, but there should be a way of proving that it actually was you that was there first, and you could just keep it private and then eventually reveal it or something. I think that's a cool use case for NFTs, but yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's about we are just hitting the 1 hour mark. Any closing remarks, gentlemen? Anything you want to see from sCrypt? You want to what's missing, or how can we do a better job of education? Any closing thoughts?
I'm pretty much building out tooling quite heavily around the Java stack at the moment, and I guess that on the long-term roadmap, what I would love to see would be IntelliJ I can't, my brain is not working properly. Either IntelliJ or Eclipse integration with like one of the more mainstream IDEs, for sCrypt. Only because the rest of the tooling is now there, right? So its build integration is now done. The library is done, not well done, but it's mature enough to be useful. And I'm actually using it right now to build an application with. But the IDE integration would be pretty nice as well.
Okay, yeah. If you check one of our user survey on PowerPin, I think it's one of the feature requests that we got. Yeah, it's on the long-term plan. Yes, because
and
I don't know if you heard about this. The Visual Studio code, they have this language server protocol. So basically, what you can, for any one language, you can only implement one server, and then on the front end, you can switch to all kinds of ID front end, like a VS Code, like a IntelliJ or Eclipse, and or even Atom or VIM or Emacs, whatever you want. So yes, that's a good framework for us to support more IDs. Okay.
And FYI, the internet that I'm at, it times out every 1 hour and then have to reconnect. So I might just drop off by accident soon, because I think I started at 107 or something. So, but yeah, that sounds good. I'll just bring the ideas to the next meeting and stuff like that. But I'm still catching up on all the videos that you published, and so far so good.
Okay, yeah, let me know if there's anything you find a little confusing, or maybe can be made more clear, because I want to. This is like almost like a historical archive. I could imagine that. So people, when they join sCrypt for the first time, they're probably going to see some of the videos there. I want to make sure it's rock solid. So even, I don't know, any programmer JavaScript, they can understand. So that's my target. Stefan, you were saying something? You're about to say something?
No. I was just agreeing with you. I was just saying.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Should we wrap it up?
Okay, then. I think anything else? If not, we can stop here for this week.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then are you doing it next Friday, even though you're going to be in Miami?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I think what time will it be? Oh, 12. I think we can maybe I have to decide. I will let people know. So maybe
yeah, it'll be at noon. It'll be noon at Eastern time.
Okay.
That's what it is for me. It's noon right now, or now it's 1, but it started at noon. And so Miami's the same. So I don't know what time your flight is out, but
yeah, my flight is evening, but we'll decide later. That's a special occasion. Maybe we can ask all the Miami PSPers join. So
yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay.
All right, you guys. Well, it's good to see you all, and I'll see you some other time.
Next time, some other time. Okay, Stefan. Good
Cheers.
evening.
See you guys.
No, good night, Michael. Good evening.
Yeah.
And Kevin, good afternoon. Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
See ya.
See you next time.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.